Town supervisors in Essex County are hopeful, like with Governor David Paterson when the prison was last on the chopping block 12 years ago, they may be able to convince Governor Hochul to reconsider. Supervisors Tom Scozzafava, Jim Monty, and Shaun Gillilland sat down with us this week to talk about the impact Moriah Shock's closing could have on the region.
So we lobbied, and I was elected in '85. I ran on that, lobbying for a correctional facility. So Mario Cuomo was the governor at the time, and so he decided in the legislature through Ron Stafford, we're going to put a correctional facility up there, and they did. And you know, that was a big part of the reason as to why was to try to help the community out with good paying jobs, the economics of it, and so on. And again, that's when Albany actually cared about communities. Now, you know, they've just come in here, they come in here and they rip the heart and soul right out of this community and not even give you the courtesy to discuss it. There's no reuse plan in place. There's not, let's just close Moriah, take 125 good paying jobs out of one of the most economically depressed areas in our state and just walk away. That's wrong. As we all know, it's tough enough as it is to try to bring jobs into this area, good paying, decent jobs, which, by the way, was one of the reasons why New York State put some of those correctional facilities up here. Now they're taking them away, taking them out. The reasoning is that nobody's going to lose their jobs, which is not true, because if there's not positions available, they got nowhere to go. The people that are transferring to other correctional facilities are 60, 70 miles away, the closest. And you're either going up to Raybrook or you're going down to Washington or you're going to, and so to say that it doesn't have any impact is just, it's not true. And, but how they perceive and look at things is beyond me. But the biggest thing that really irks me, it's a travesty to the inmates that have been through that program. It's a great program. And to compare Moriah to a prison is apples and oranges.
You worked there 20 years, Jim?
I worked at Moriah 20 years. And the thing was, there's no fence there. And the things with the inmates were coming in, we were teaching them that it's okay to get up early, work all day, and they had a responsibility. They had to make their beds. They had to iron their uniforms. Every morning they had to go to PT, and depending on their drill instructor, they ran at least 2 miles, and some of them would run 10 miles before breakfast. A lot of us who came from the Great Meadows, the Clintons, it was a hard adjustment at first because we weren't used to dealing with inmates in that regard. It got to the point where we're sitting there, we become more counselors than we were correction officers. These inmates every year open all the DEC campgrounds. They go in and they rake, they get the picnic tables done, they get everything taken care of. They go to the boat launches, Lake George through the Canadian border, putting in the docks for them. They go up in the summer and build picnic tables at the Saranac Inn, DEC up there. So now this is all things that DEC is going to have to find a way to fund. And then you go to natural disasters. Ice storm of '98, I spent better part of 3 weeks in Altona opening roads with my crew, mostly 12 to 16 hours a day. And by the time that was over,
Irene and Lee and forest fires.
The people in Altona thought these kids were gods. And the pride that these kids saw in doing it was just incredible. They actually felt a sense of community, felt some self-worth. And you put a price on that.
The very people that are advocating for closure of prisons, because the population has dropped and they're trying to change the correction system. I think if those individuals or those groups of people knew the program that was running out of Moriah Shock, they'd be up in arms that they're closing it. I really believe that. It's like a bad dream. I still can't even believe that they're even considering this, especially in today's climate. Soft on crime and so on. I thought that Moriah would be, the shining light for for programs that, here's a program that we have, a facility that we have that works. And, but yet they decide to close it.
Why do you think that is, Tom? Why do you think they don't look at it and say, yes, that looks like an alternative treatment program that's successful and working? And
because they need to close prisons. So you take all the shock inmates and you put them in Lakeview. It's a numbers game. And so it was the politics within listen, Governor Hochul or then Governor Cole, they didn't sit down and say, well, here's the 5 prisons or 6 I want to close and I want to put Moriah on the list. That didn't happen. Again, and I'll say it, I seriously doubt that Governor Hochul is even aware of Moriah Shock. And, unfortunately, we've been trying everything in our power to give her that awareness.
Any hope left that you can
that's why we're here with you today. I think if the word gets out there to the right people, especially the advocates that are looking to close prisons, I really believe if they were familiar with that program, that they'd be up in arms saying, what are you closing this place for? This is what we're looking to do with inmates, with these young men.
You're going through with bail reform and everything else, and it's still boiling away as to what it is. But I think in a couple of years, they're going to be looking for a Moriah Shock.
Even if they close on March 10th, I don't believe any of us are going to give up, because I think our chairman just made a very profound statement that we're going to see happen. Is that probably 2 years down the road, they're going to be looking for more facilities like this.
What impact will this have on Moriah, on right here in Port Henry and Mineville and right here in this area?
An hour and 20 minutes every day, one way and back, gets old in a hurry. And, so do I think we're going to see some of these employees that were lucky enough to even transfer, I guess, because some of them aren't even going to have employment. Do I think you'll see? Absolutely, you're going to see some of them move. Because it's just, it takes its toll on your family. They're in a stressful enough job as it is once they go to a max or a medium. And, then to add on to that day another couple hours or more, 2.5, 3 hours, traveling back and forth, yeah.
The governor's office will point to the governor's state of the state, and if in the booklet saying that she's going to work on forming a commission to find reuses for these properties.
You're going to appoint a commission, kind of late for that when your deadline's, a month away. I think if anything can come out of this today or anything that we've been trying to do is that the governor at least hears about it, and says, maybe I need to take another look at this. That's what I'm hopeful will come out of this.
We did reach out to the governor's office to see if there's any possibility last minute that Kathy Hochul would reconsider and possibly take Moriah Shock off the hit list. But late this week, the governor's office said the state's shock program is being consolidated at the Lakeview Prison in western New York. And in a statement said that Acting Corrections Commissioner Annucci has met with elected officials to discuss ideas for repurposing Moriah Shock. A spokesperson said Governor Hochul wants to find ways to reimagine the facility and work with local leaders to make sure future plans, whatever they may be, meet the needs of the community. On our website, you'll find our interview with filmmaker Mark Burns, who produced a documentary on the prison and the work Moriah Shock inmates have done for years on the Winter Carnival Ice Palace in Saranac Lake.